Come on, plane, go by the moon. Oh, y'all barely missed it. Almost got a in focus plane in front of an in focused moon, and that has happened to me before. I can't explain it. I don't know what the explanation for it is whatsoever, but a mile high plane was just as in focus as a 240,000 mile away moon. And as you can see, I've got fairly decent quality focus here. Can't say the same for my aiming abilities, but the focus is pretty good. And I'm seeing some things like this teardrop thing that's new to me, but this right here, see the mound inside of the crater? That is not new to me. And there's a mound in the second crater, and there seems to be something at the edge of the third one. And I think I have some old photos. That third one had a mound in it too. And you notice all these white places along the edge of the terminator line or the shadow line. You see little shapes that'll be, I'm gonna let it come into focus instead of trying to adjust it. I'm gonna let it, while I'm not coming to focus, I'm gonna let there's a snake like lines in that flat surface. I haven't noticed that before, but this is what I was talking about, these spots that are out past where the shadow is. There's no other explanation except for those are taller. Now over to the left of center, there's one dot. Last night, there was three dots sticking up like it was three mountain peaks or three building tops. You look at the left side of this thing. I've got my saturation, my brightness, my contrast, uh, everything is turned all the way down. That's a little trick to get around not having a lunar filter and you get nothing but a bright glare. And you notice I still get the bright glare, but if I didn't turn down all the settings for the camera, it would be even brighter. Having trouble getting that left edge, the white balance or light balance, whatever you prefer to call it. You notice the craters over to the left, one of them also has a mound. And something else about these craters. Now, on Earth, these would be very, very, very deep holes with lots of damage of trees around it. They would be very, very deep holes. Now, I'm proposing that my theory is that we are staring at a big ball of iron that used to be inside a planet, and maybe that's what the meteor belt is made out of. It's fragments of what used to be a planet. Now, to the right of the flat area with the squiggly lines and an elevated spot down at the bottom because it's showing up brighter white. Another thing that really interests me is the structures that seem to come into view only when you're looking at the line. When you're looking at the shadow, you'll see shapes that will disappear tomorrow. you won't be able to see them. Some of these shapes, like at the bottom of the screen, you see some shadows and some white, the brightest, whitest spots or the highest spots. And a lot of them have shadows behind them where the light's not quite getting to it. Now, all along this line, you're always going to see a lot of more detail than the next night. All the stuff that you're seeing now is flat and smooth. Last night they were on the line, so you couldn't make out anything like those. Like, see that big bright round light in the middle of the dark over to the bottom of the point that's showing there's a big round circle? Well, that would be something that is taller and it's catching more of the light. So that's maybe a high mountain peak, maybe an alien base, maybe a lunar lander. Who knows? It's something. Well, not a lunar lander. Something tall. Something really tall. Maybe miles tall. But this is always the most interesting thing about it. Now, I'm not sure if that there is what I've always called the blister, but I've recorded this for 3 nights in a row, and these things, the dark areas, the 3 circles, note their position. They're right of center, and I record this the same time every night for the last 3 nights, and I will be recording them tomorrow. I want you to notice those 3 craters that interweave. You see one over top of the other one, and then a third one kind of off center from it. And we're going to look at this tomorrow, because even though it's facing us and never facing a different way, I'm not going to argue that one. It's obvious. But those right there, we're going to see if they are just right of center. And we see where they are. We see that there's a smooth spot to the left, and then it looks like a lowered down smooth spot to the left of that in the center. That's what I want to pay attention to. This right here is the center, and these 3 I want to use as a marker. They're very distinctive. So we see that their positioning, their positioning relative to the direction I'm filming from, the setup I'm using, is pretty much level for the 2 on the bottom, and then the third one to the furthest left is up above and left of the 2 other craters. Now, I want to see if they're oriented the same way, because they're relatively level with the line. I believe they call it the Terminator line, but they're relatively level. Like, they're heading, if you head from the middle one to the end one, going towards the edge, they seem somewhat straight, and we see their position. We see that as far as the picture, you know, it's in, let's say, alright, if you went to the center of the moon and drew a line to the edge, you would be pointing at about the 2 o'clock, somewhere around in there. I want to see if it's more like the 3 o'clock tomorrow, because I think that the moon is facing us, but is rotating, not rotating like a spin of the planet, but clockwise rotation, like the hands on a clock. The clock arms are spinning on the wall, the clock is not spinning. If you're trying to give a verbal visual of what I'm talking about, I want to see if this flat area with the squiggly lines going through it to the left of center and the center spot has some distinctive small round craters, and then up at towards the top, that'd be a real good way. There's a round circle. That is round circle. No, it's a triangle circle. That sounded stupid, round circle, but we're going to use that as a marker. Now, at the 12 o'clock mark, as you can see here, the black flat area up towards the top is left of center, with the edge of it being lined up almost perfect with the center. And we'll use that as a marker as well, just to verify I'm talking about. And we're trying to get this focused. It's won't act up on it. We're going to use that marker that is pretty much at 12 o'clock, right above that plateau that is standing up. We'll use that as the marker, and tomorrow we'll see if that's moved around. Also, this flat area with the craters, it looks kind of odd to me with the squiggle lines going on the side. It looks kind of like sand dunes. That one's a new one on me. And of course, all these structure looking places that show up right along the shadow line. That is something that's always weird to me. Those details will disappear tomorrow, and they will appear like the rest of it and lose all their texture. You really can only see a lot of the texture while looking at the line. When it's a full moon, a lot of this texture will disappear, except for what you're seeing like right now. But as you'll see for yourself as it moves in, everything close to it seems rigid and bumpy and mountainous structures, if you want to call them that. But definitely a different tone to it, a feel. It looks like the things are popping out away from it. And you can see all the way to the left there's two balls of light. And along all this line, you'll notice balls of light that seem out of place. Sorry about that. I'm having to hold it here to get a look at the line all the way around, but mainly we're going to come back and see if this thing is rotating. We got that dark area almost at 12 o'clock with the lighter area in between it, and on the other side of the 12 o'clock position is another dark area. We're going to see if those right there are lined up tomorrow night. And we'll get to see some more of the line and the textures as well. You know, the line will move out, and all the things that look like something now will change completely. And we're also going to keep an eye on them three craters on the left. And I don't know what to make of this plateau looking area right. And get it in the center. Alright, right right in the center of the screen. To me, that looks like a huge plateau or structure, and I mean huge. It's very large. I don't know the measurement of it. I'd have to look up how big the moon is and how far across it is and do the math. But that's something else that interests me. And as you see, the things near the line, like I said 1,000 times, they really jump out. You can see the taller things out past it. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to be looking at whether or not it's rotating. I just got a warning that my battery's going dead. So that's going to be it on this one for tonight. And we'll check this thing out tomorrow night and see if all these things still line up. We're going to do it at the same time. Remember, we should have a white spot in between two dark spots at the very top. If the round circle is moved to the 12 or 1 o'clock position, the darker circle there at the top, then I think we can pretty much call it at that point. So and here I'm gonna snap me some pictures. The shaking you see anytime I touch my camera, I need to set it up for voice control because it shakes. It's the slightest little thing that touches it. But anyway, I appreciate y'all's views, and y'all will check in with me tomorrow, and we're going to see if this thing's rotating or if everything's still like it is. Later.